This episode of Attack on Titan explores an alternate reality, introduces a character we've never seen before, and gives us clues on how the series might end. Crazy, right? Just a quick disclaimer, I personally have not read AOT's manga yet, but still decided to watch this quote-unquote secret episode because it was released back in November of 2021. I will say though, the foreshadowing was absolutely astonishing, and I had some of the best time watching it and rewatching this specific episode because of how genius it is. So if you aren't sure where the show is heading as we wait for the final episode to release, and you don't want to know more than you already do, then this is your spoiler warning. Lost in the Cruel World is an Attack on Titan OVA and one of the only episodes centered solely around Mikasa. The episode happens concurrently with Season 3, Episode 12, right before the scouts journey back to Shiganshina, and we get to catch up with Mikasa, who's deep in thought. She looks at Eren and wonders if there's any chance things can return to the way they were before. She acknowledges that she's afraid of Eren running away from them again, but knows there's nothing she can do to stop it. Just then, a blue butterfly floats by, transporting her through a scene that flashes before her eyes. It's a flashback to young Mikasa, still living with her parents. Just like in Season 1, her mother is teaching her the Ackerman's embroidery technique, and her father is expecting Dr. Jaeger to arrive any minute now. She relives the most painful events in her life up to this point, watching her dad get murdered in front of her and hearing Armin break the news that Eren was eaten by a Titan in Trost. Kneeling down and giving herself up to a pure Titan, she stares down defeated. That is, until she notices the blue butterfly again. She hears her own voice talking to her, saying, Wait, what? Alright, I know this entire episode takes place in Mikasa's thoughts, but I was not expecting that. Especially at this point in the anime, nothing was pointing to Eren's death. This was even before anyone learned about the Curse of Ymir that limited the lives of the Titan shifters to 13 years maximum. So how in the... So yet again, young Mikasa and her family wait for Grisha Jaeger, except this time, he actually arrives. Not only that, but she gets to become friends with Eren with a lot less trauma, because we all know what happened when Grisha didn't arrive last time. As they bond, Eren shares his dreams to be a scout and stories about his best friend Armin, who Mikasa has never met before. Eren continues to inspire Mikasa to follow him in Armin's dreams of seeing the outside world. She imagines herself genuinely happy and even made a cute little doll of Eren that she puts in her windowsill. Eventually, Mikasa takes the boat to visit Eren and she's greeted with a familiar scene. Just like in the very first episode of the series, the scouts are returning from a mission absolutely obliterated. This unsuccessful mission was the final straw, and in this timeline, the scout regiment was disbanded. Eren became depressed. He knew he was missing out on his one chance to see the outside world with Armin, so he shared with her the new plan, the last resort. Mikasa shocked him by saying that she wanted to go with them, and Eren wrapped his scarf around her, telling her to meet them in the forest in 3 days. 3 days pass and Mikasa is rushing through town to get to their meeting spot, but standing in her way is a mysterious figure. The Mirror Man stops Mikasa in her tracks in the middle of a busy town square. With no way to escape, Mikasa is forced to be in the Mirror Man's next act. He promises that by the end of his show, he will turn an innocent girl into a murderer. Hearing the last bell ring, Mikasa knows that Eren and Armin are probably leaving right now. The Mirror Man then confirms that he knows exactly where Mikasa is off to, and refuses to let her go until she murders him. But not only that, he also tells her that the world they're in is just a figment of her imagination, a world that she created because she could not accept Eren's death. All of a sudden, the Mirror Man's voice blends into none other than the voice of an older Mikasa. Being completely and brutally honest with herself, she says, Angered that something was getting between her and Eren, even in her dreams, young Mikasa experiences the awakening of her Ackerman power. She takes a knife and stabs the Mirror Man. He hits the ground and the crowd screams in shock. Mikasa is thoroughly confused at this point, until the Mirror Man sits back up and explains that the blade was actually retractable and the blood was from a chicken. Even though it was all a ruse, it didn't change the fact that Mikasa tried to stab him and believed she succeeded. She sprinted to the forest as the crowd began to applaud. Alone under the tree, she finds Armin. He's kneeling down and apologizing, and he breaks down into tears as he tells Mikasa that the hot air balloon was out of control. He explains that Eren threw Armin out of the balloon before he was swept up too high and hit the wall. Eren died. We see a brief hint of a blue butterfly yet again before she is transported back into the present day. She stares at Eren and says that she believes he will one day drive out all the Titans and see the sea. But for the first time, she realizes that he might not want to stop there. Accepting this new truth, she tells herself that none of that matters as long as she gets to stay by his side. And just as quickly as it started, the episode ends. There are a lot of different theories about who this Mirror Man is, and the general consensus is that it's Eren from the future, telling Mikasa to let him go. Now, I haven't read the manga yet, but let me tell you why I think this is completely wrong. I could see why a lot of people would buy into the theory that the Mirror Man is Eren because of Eren's ability to manipulate the past. But I don't think it would match with his ideology, nor do I think it's something that Eren would do. The whole reason Eren initiated the rumbling was to give his friends a chance at the freedom he's been chasing his entire life. I don't think that this was just freedom from Marley or the world around them. I think this also extends into freedom of choice and freedom of will. If Eren truly wanted his friends to be happy, he wouldn't manipulate them into being happy. Mirror Man were truly an example of Eren using his powers to manipulate Mikasa's past, then I don't think he would be giving Mikasa freedom of choice. Not only that, but at the most pivotal point in the episode when Mirror Man is speaking to Mikasa, his voice slowly blends into Mikasa's voice. For these reasons, I think it's a more accurate interpretation of this episode to say that the Mirror Man is actually older Mikasa speaking to younger Mikasa. And because one of the biggest topics of this episode is Eren's death, we know that the older Mikasa is speaking from a perspective we haven't seen yet. She's further along in the story than we are right now. She knows the ending. So at this point, my theory is that Mikasa knows it's necessary for her to overcome Eren's death. And during her interaction with the Mirror Man, the entire point of that interaction was to awaken her Ackerman abilities and remind her to fight once more. This entire episode takes place because she had to reinforce to herself the fact that she could overcome Eren's death. The question is, what part in his death does she play? From the most recent episodes, especially in her conversation with Annie, it's seeming like Mikasa is gonna have to be the one to end Eren once and for all. And if that happens, I'm not even gonna be happy that my theory's correct. I'm gonna be sad, and I'm gonna cry. Because this show has been one of the craziest roller coaster rides I've ever seen in my entire life. And I'm just happy to be a part of it, man. No, that's a good ending. If that happens, that's a good ending. I don't know why everyone was complaining about the ending when it came out, but if that's what they read, and if my theory's correct, I think it couldn't end any better way. So thank you, Isayama. Sorry, got a little off track. But what do you guys think? I want to see in the comments if you think this theory has any legitimacy to it, but whether it does or whether it doesn't, thank you for being along for the ride, and thanks for watching. Get ready for that very last episode.